being the chairman of JNPT, the development point of view, were there any obstacles that were faced by you?
First of all, we were trying to do large projects in JNPT, like one project itself which would more than double the capacity of container handling in JNPT. It was to be done in a period of relative recession when investor sentiment was not so positive and so on. So we had to take a lot of efforts, and with a lot of difficulty we managed to get the Port of Singapore Authority along with an Indian partner. But because of certain technical glitches, they wanted to have the local partner of the deal, which is not permissible as per the Government of India norms, and that couldn't happen. If it had happened, a huge project of about 8,500 crores at that time, now it should be about 9,500 crores, would have been halfway through. So it's been difficult to start the whole process again. We were trying earlier to modify the project and make it into two, but then it's for the Government of India right now to decide how they should proceed with it. Second very big project would be the project of dredging, which was a dream project as far as JNPT is concerned. This project was conceived of more than 15 years ago, and it has been started from October 2012, and we must have done more than 30 to 40% of the total dredging. It's the biggest dredging project ever undertaken in a port in India. Of 61 million cubic meters is to be dredged, including a small percentage of rock. This was estimated to cost about 1,570 crores, but we got a global tender below the estimate rate, even though the payment is in rupees and the value of the rupee was at rock bottom when we went for the bid. So that's a success, I think, which is going on, which will probably ensure that a draft of minimum 14 meters will be available entire channel right up to the JNPT from the sea. The second phase of dredging of consisting of about 100 cubic meters, that would be succeeding this particular dredging, and that will cost a whopping maybe almost 10,000 crores or so, for which we are expecting half a subsidy from the Government of India, and the other half would be paid over 5 to 7 years from JNPT's own incremental income. We expect that without increase in the costs to shippers or to shipping lines, etc., we should be able to implement this project from sheer gains from productivity that would accrue from bigger ships coming and shorter times being required for loading and unloading containers. A very big third initiative would be the conversion of JNPT from a container port. Now it is the biggest container port in India with over 50% market share of the entire container movement of India, and we wanted to diversify into non-container cargo, including ro-ro, break bulk and bulk cargo. We also had plans to ensure that the liquid cargo which we are handling can be quadrupled or quintupled. And for this, there are two projects which are going on. One is being designed by L&T Rambol, that's a liquid cargo handling part of it. The second part of it is being done by international consultants Hove, which is expected to add 75 to 100 million tons capacity per annum in terms of general cargo. The biggest project on the pipeline would be the fifth container terminal project of costing currently about 25,000 crores, which will add 10 million TEU capacity per annum, which is more than the entire capacity for handling containers in the whole of India, because currently India is handling about 9.5 million TEUs per annum. This particular mega terminals would be able to handle themselves another 10 million TEU. All this will ensure by 2020 a quintupling of the current capacity of JNPT from 4 million TEU to over 20 million TEU. The cost of these projects would be totally about 45,000 crores or so, all the projects which I mentioned. In addition, we are also developing a port-based SEZ. 2,700 acres of land have been earmarked for a port-based SEZ. All of this land belongs to us. It is freehold land, and as a first stage, 700 acres is being developed. And within a year or so, we should be able to allot the developed land to various private sector investors would mostly be in the warehousing and logistics space, and this would probably be able to generate much more cargo income for JNPT, because we would certainly become a preferred port of call, having an SEZ within the port limits itself.
Thank you so much for sharing your developments. Now, on the revenue point of view, what has your contribution been?
See, the net income of JNPT has actually increased substantially since 2010-11 when I had joined. Even in that year, I was there for the second half of 2010-11. We had a pretty good increase of something like 15 to 20% year to year. Subsequently, there has been an increase of 35 to 40%, and we would have touched 1,000 crores net profit in 2012-13 had it not been for the intervention of TAMP, which reduced the income to almost 900 crores. Now, the problem with TAMP and its control of the income of the port has been realized by the Government of India, because such an institution doesn't exist anywhere else in the world. And we are hoping that with the new initiatives in changing the guidelines to TAMP, we would be able to probably go back to what 2,500 or 3,000 crores net profit per year, making this probably a Namrata or even a Maharatna company in the years to come after corporatization.
Also about you being the Home Minister, so can you please explain a little bit about your portfolio?
The Home Secretary's job, I'm in charge of Home and Vigilance, and functions like the law and order functions and crime investigation functions, which come under the Director General of Police, who's called the State Police Chief now. That would be under my jurisdiction, as also the management of prisons, the management of various supporting departments like chemical examiners, lab, etc. And then the vigilance department of the state government, which is also headed by an independent Director General of Police, would also be reporting to me. So all the aspects of home and vigilance would be under me, and I hope that during my stint I will be able to modernize and measure the efficiency of the police right from the grassroots level. We are trying to have the RFD setup, which is available, which is not available in other states in the home departments. We are trying to implement that in Kerala. This is an initiative which I have just taken after joining, and the RFD framework ensures that there will be measurable parameters of performance right from the grassroots level in police stations, and also in terms of the management of the justice administration, so the prosecution of cases and so on. And we will soon be able to come up with a quantifiable model which will be able to compare between particular stations, police stations, as also different districts, etc., so that the officers can be judged based on objective criteria of performance, which will also ensure that citizens get a better quality of service. Now, as far as citizens are concerned, also we are trying to have a lot of interface functions with mobile users, because as you know, mobile penetration is very, very high in India, and in addition to the usual e-governance systems using computers, we are going to have mobile systems by which the progress of the investigation of a complaint and further issues, for example, if a certificate has been requested for the passport, for example, the entire progress of the investigation and whether it is going to be available, etc., would be sent from time to time to the mobile phone of the applicant, so that he need not come to the actual place where the office where this is happening, and they will be able to save a lot of time, and there is also a lot of energy saved, and the human interaction can be reduced, which will free a lot of time of the police, who are usually harassed for a lot of time, and because they have multifarious functions.
It's a very creative initiative, so I wish you all the best for that. And now, since you're the senior IAS officer, I'm sure you're aware of the work style in Kerala. So do you think there'll be any hurdles in implementing some policies or anything like that?
Working at the state level, I found in my experience is a much more rewarding experience, much more faster in terms of changing of systems, etc., because of a smaller unit of administration at the state level, it's far easier to take an issue before the cabinet, because if you are a principal secretary or in charge of a particular ministry, you yourself draft the cabinet notes. You can also participate in cabinet meetings and explain issues to the ministers, etc., which is not possible in the central government. And in the central government is a much more cumbersome process which takes months and in some cases years to get an issue before cabinet, and eventually the outcome may not be may not be exactly what you have proposed, because there could be so many changes by so many players. So in the state level, this is a much faster means of change, and I am sure that the state of Kerala, being much more dynamic than many other states in terms of governance, will be able to adopt many of the best practices which are being implemented in other parts of the world and also in India, as well as any new initiatives which come as a part of which will come up as a part of our innovation.
There's also a rumor that the Home Department would be taken over by the Chief Minister.
I won't be able to say anything about it. This is a democratic setup, and whoever comes as the Home Minister will be Prime Minister.
Alright, so if you can give us a general opinion about the Kerala politics.
No, I am not a political person. I am totally apolitical. I don't expect that in the near future I am going to be able to say anything about the politics of Kerala. But we know that in a healthy democratic environment, there will be all kinds of pressures and counter pressures, and it's not an easy job being a minister or a chief minister in Kerala, whichever be the party in power. And I really appreciate their capacity in terms of being able to manage the political aspects as also the high standards of administration they have to adhere to.
You've really taken a very creative initiative now, and you just explained that to us. So do you think you'd be at your creative liberty in the Home Department?
Yes, I mean, whichever department one goes to, you have to think out of the box, and you have to have a certain cross-pollination of ideas from various different experiences. All this will really help you to come to a feasible solution for certain problems. Initially, some of the solutions may look certainly not feasible in terms of implementation, but it should be possible to make adjustments. So my style of functioning is that I encourage a lot of brainstorming. I also encourage a lot of so-called suggestions which may look not feasible on the face of it, but later we could make it feasible.
So, and last, if you can share us about your hobbies, what do you like to do for fun?
Well, the hobby part of it has been shrinking every time over the years, as I've been taking on more and more responsibilities in the administrative service. But I do listen to music, I try to read when possible, I watch movies. I'm just a normal human being, but the time available for it has been shrinking. And I think only after retirement I would be able to catch up on all the number of books which I have kept aside for reading.
Thank you so much for your
Thank you.
time.